Watch out, L'Homme EDP. We might have a new date night king in town. So let's go ahead and review the new L'Homme, the Eau De Parfum. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, what I do is I make fragrance related content. So if you love fragrances, go to hit that subscribe button down below and also be sure to follow my fragrance Instagram page. But today is right, guys. We are going to be reviewing the brand new flanker of L'Homme, which is of course the Eau De Parfum. Now I know L'Homme has 101 flankers and this is just another one. And they always discontinue their flankers as well, like the sport flanker, which I own. I also own L'Homme Ultime, which was discontinued, so this one might be discontinued down the road as well, which is just bizarre to me. But yeah, I cannot wait to talk about this one because some of the notes that this fragrance contains absolutely piqued my interest. So let's talk about it now right after the information. So you'll be able to pick up a 60 ml bottle like I have in hand for $86, or you can opt for the big bottle, the 100 ml bottle for $112. So the pricing for a designer, that's pretty reasonable. That's what most designers go for nowadays, so not too bad. The release date is actually, of course, 2022, the year I'm recording right now, so it is brand spanking new. And for prices that you can get these bottles for, you can get a 60 ml bottle that I have in hand for $86, or you can opt for the big bottle, the 100 mils, for $112. So for pricing, as far as like designers go, especially like the Eau De Parfum flankers, that's pretty reasonable and basically what most designers go for nowadays. Now for perfumer, I did as much research as I could, but the perfumer was not listed anywhere. So if any of you guys actually know who is the nose behind the L'Homme Eau De Parfum, let me know in the comments below. So with all that information out of the way, let's go and take a look at the packaging and presentation now. So if you've seen one L'Homme box, you've pretty much seen them all. It is very much the same. Of course, you have YSL logo right there. L'Homme Eau De Parfum, and this is, like I said, the 2 ounce 60 ml bottle. On the bottom you do have your batch code right there to obviously authenticate your product and see when it was produced, and on the back is your barcode and a bunch of information that barely anybody reads. So, and then on top, of course, you have the YSL as well. Let's look at the bottle now. Now I gotta say, looking at this bottle, the juice absolutely intrigued me. I love a good dark color juice because in our heads, we always think more potency, more performance, and we'll talk about if that's the case with this one. On top, you have that hockey puck looking style cap with YSL embossed. On the bottom, you have your tiny little sticker right there with your batch code and some information. And of course, you have your traditional black stem atomizer nozzle right there inside. Nothing inside the cap, which is plastic by the way, but it does click into place, which is good at least, so you can pick it up snugly. In the top, you have bitter orange and bergamot. In the middle, you have lavender and geranium. And in the base, you have oak, cognac, vetiver, and cedar. So of course, looking at that note breakdown, it looks nothing like L'Homme. Where is the ginger note? Of course, that's what L'Homme is known for. And yeah, you will not find ginger in this fragrance, but let's go ahead and spray it and test out the atomizer, and let's see what we got. All right, decent atomizer, but I do want to tell you, I don't know if you picked it up on camera, but the color is so dark and dense that it does actually show up on the white tester strip. So if you spray like your clothes, like a white tee, be cautious of that. So you don't want to ruin your clothes or your t-shirt. But let's go ahead and remind myself of the opening of the Eau De Parfum. So I do want to let you guys know that I've never got my nose on the original L'Homme. I mean, I probably have in like a department stores a few years back, when I've tried out all the Yves Saint Laurent fragrances, but I do not recall what it smells like. Now I know a bunch of people that absolutely adore L'Homme and they talk about it all the time, so I do kind of have an image in my head on like the note breakdown and the DNA of it. And in this EDP flanker, you do get that signature spicy citrus that is the original is known for, of course, minus the ginger note. So it does have that similarity to it at least. Now, of course, that is coming from the bitter orange, which does come across slightly bitter, and it also is very tart, which I do like my citruses to have a nice tart punch to it, and this one definitely does have that. Obviously, the bergamot is listed in the top as well, but the bergamot I do not pick up on. It might be in there, but it's not the main player. The bitter orange is 100% taking the center stage of the opening. Now, as the fragrance actually does start to settle a little bit and you make your way into the middle, is where you actually get the boozy cognac note, which by the way is the note that most intrigued me alongside the oak. I'm a huge fan of by Kilian's Angel Share. That's probably the best boozy fragrance in my entire collection and that I've ever got my nose on. And that's actually a combination of oak and cognac as well. So I thought that it might go in a similar direction as Angel Share, but I was completely wrong. It is very much different. But like I said, in the middle, the boozy cognac does come into play, which does smell very nice. And it's also played alongside a kind of powdery floral lavender. And it's the lavender that does resemble the lavender that you find in a L'Homme EDP. Obviously, L'Homme EDP is known for the cardamom and the lavender note, and that lavender is very, very similar. So if you like the lavender that you find in L'Homme EDP, you'll absolutely love it in this as well. So as you make your way more so into the base of the fragrance now is when the oak and the vetiver does come into play. You still do get the lavender and the cognac, of course. You're pretty much left with those notes throughout the entire life of the fragrance. The bitter orange is far gone at this point. You no longer get that tart citrus, but rather a woody, boozy, earthy, floral kind of base. Now, to be honest with you, I think oak and cognac obviously work perfect together, because when you think of that, obviously cognac is aged in oak barrels for many, many years. And that's why I love those two together. You like put your head into like an oak barrel that was aged with cognac, and you took the cognac out, and you're left with kind of like a wet, kind of boozy, earthy oak. And that's exactly how you will get in this fragrance as well. So it is done very, very nicely. I have to give props to Yves Saint Laurent for making a pretty good flanker. I do enjoy the scent profile, and it might be one of my favorite from the line, which I believe I own 5. And I know it's funny, I own 5 L'Hommes or L'Homme flankers, but not the original, which is usually the exact opposite that I do. Most of the time I'll buy the original, of course, try it out, and then obviously try the flankers, because then you're familiar with the original scent DNA. But for some reason, it just happened that way. And I do actually appreciate every single one of them. I wasn't a big fan of all team. This one is definitely one of my favorites, but it does not mean that I'm absolutely in love with it, and we'll talk about that. But yes, the scent profile, everything is nice. The opening with the spicy citruses, and then as you dry it down to a boozy, woody, lavender fragrance, it is very pleasant, it is very nice. But to be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It doesn't blow my socks off or nothing like that. It's not going to be a fragrance that I actually reach for a lot, to be honest with you. I think I do actually still prefer L'Homme EDP as my favorite, even though I wasn't a fan of the intense flanker of that one. It was completely different. This one might be my second favorite from the line, or maybe third, because I really like the sport flanker for like the gym and just smelling clean and fresh from the out of hides. So this one is in my top 3 at least. It's not my least favorite, but does not blow me away at all. So let's touch on seasons for L'Homme Eau De Parfum. Now, of course, L'Homme is usually rocked for like the spring and summer. This one is a more darker, deeper, more potent, dense variation of that. So you could wear this one in the springtime, not the summer. It doesn't really give off a summer vibe to me, but 100% winter and fall without a doubt. So stick to the fall, winter, and spring for L'Homme Eau De Parfum. It just works perfectly, and that's usually what you want to rock. When you see those notes, they just work good for the colder months. Now, talk about occasions. So this one is actually very formal smelling. It doesn't come across casual. It doesn't come across playful, nothing like that. 100% more of a dressed up fragrance, I would say. So if you wear like a nice outfit to work, like in an office, you can wear this one to an office, like a work environment. Even though it might not be the best because you do have that boozy cognac, even though it doesn't come across smelling actually like authentic natural booze, to be honest, it is blended in very nicely along the other notes, so you don't smell like you're drunk or you've been drinking all night showing up to work or anything like that. So you could still wear it and play it safe. But also where this one shines is date nights, guys. That's why in the intro I said L'Homme EDP might be in trouble, because if you don't know, L'Homme EDP is actually dubbed the date night king fragrance. If someone asks you what fragrance would you recommend me wear on a first date or something like that, L'Homme EDP will probably pop up 9 out of 10 times. So it's known for date nights. That one, in my opinion, might still be the date night king. This one is also very good for date nights as well. If you want to smell a little bit different because she might have already smelled L'Homme EDP cologne on another guy that she went out with. That's a huge possibility. Definitely check this one out. It does have a sexy nature to it. Obviously with those notes, it works perfect for that situation. So for gender and age groups for L'Homme EDP Parfum, so this definitely does lean more on the masculine side of things rather than feminine. There's nothing feminine about this fragrance at all. It's not even unisex either. And L'Homme actually means man, so obviously it is targeted towards guys as well. Even though not all the case that if a fragrance says for guys, it only works for guys, etc., etc. But in this case, it's definitely masculine. Now, for ages, this one does have a more sophisticated, gentlemanly, mature vibe to it, just because of the notes and the way it comes across being very formal, dressed up, date night situations. I don't see this one really working good for a teenager in high school or anything like that. Of course, it has booze and things of that nature, so yeah, it just doesn't fit that kind of situation and age group. So anybody, probably I would say 21 and up, can pull L'Homme EDP Parfum off perfectly. So if you're looking into this one, definitely check out your department store, smell it, and I'm sure you might enjoy it. It's very crowd pleasing as well. And if you've never smelled anything quite like this composition in DNA, you will probably fall in love with it. But for me, definitely not a love fragrance. Now the performance, which is very, very unfortunate, and I was expecting more out of the EDP, of course. That's what you think. Higher concentration, better performance. But in this case, that is not what happens, guys. So unfortunately, L'Homme is known, and all the flankers, for lackluster performance. Definitely still falls under the below average performing fragrance category, because when I wore this one, I was testing it out. I tested it a few times. I wore it as a scent of the day throughout the entire day. And for longevity, I got around maybe 6 hours of decent longevity until it pretty much turned into a very faint skin scent. And for projection, I got maybe an hour to an hour and a half of decent projection. Now, I always like to tell you guys, the higher concentration, a lot of times, not most of the time, this is very subjective, they don't project as much as like an Eau de Cologne or an Eau de Toilette, because at the end of the day, what makes the fragrance project is the alcohol concentration, not the oil concentration. So yeah, in this case, it does not project heavy. It is a little bit closer to the skin, and longevity is around 6 hours. Now, I'm actually very curious on your guys' opinions on this. Now, is performance a deal breaker for you, or you can bypass that as long as you like the smell and it's only performs for 4 hours? I'm very curious about that, so let me know down below. But to be honest with you, even though the performance is lackluster, if it's suited for dates, you're not gonna go on a first date, a second date, or anything like that for 6 hours. So it would still work for a date out. If you're going out to dinner for maybe 2 hours tops or something like that, it will perform and she will smell you. So don't think that I'm telling you this is terrible performing, that it doesn't have a position in your fragrance collection or a certain occasion, because this one will still be very good for a date night out, 100%. So that's gonna pretty much do it for my review of the new L'Homme EDP flanker. Let me know if you've actually got your nose on this one yet. I think it has hit the stores by now, like your basic department stores, Macy's, Dillard's, things like that. So definitely go try it out in stores, test it out on your skin and see what you think. But let me know down below your favorite L'Homme, or if the original is your favorite. And if I should try it, let me know that. But as usual, leave a like on the video, subscribe if you guys haven't already, and I'll catch all you in the next video. Take care, everybody.